United States Department of Agriculture, sponsors of the National School Lunch Program, present Planning for Vitamin C in Type A School Lunches with Dr. Fannie Lee Boyd of the University of Georgia College of Education.
Our plan of work today includes three things. First, a review of the Type A meal pattern. Second, we want to learn why fruits and vegetables are important in the diets of boys and girls. And third, we want to discover the importance of vitamin C and ways to include the recommended amounts in the school lunch of boys and girls. Now let us begin by a review of the Type A meal pattern. We know the primary purpose of the school lunch program is to provide nourishing lunches for children which supply at least 1/3 of their total daily nutritive needs. A guide has been developed for use of school lunch managers as an aid in planning lunches which supply the kinds and amounts of food needed for growing boys and girls. This guide is called the Type A Planning Guide. Now, it includes foods that are found in the basic 4 food groups because we are concerned about the total daily needs, and this is a part of it. I'm sure that all of you are familiar with the Type A lunch, but today let's review a little bit about the Type A lunch briefly. What are the foods that should be included in the lunch? Why are they needed, and how much should be served?
We must serve 1/2 pint of fresh fluid milk to provide calcium, riboflavin, and the other nutrients that are needed for our children. We also need to serve 1 slice of enriched or whole grain bread. That is to provide our iron and niacin and also calories for energy.
The children need at least 2 teaspoons of butter or fortified margarine to supply vitamin A and calories for energy. 2 ounces of protein-rich food should also be included. This may be either 2 ounces of cheese, 4 tablespoons of peanut butter, 2 ounces of lean cooked meat, poultry or fish, 1 egg, or 1/2 cup dried beans or peas. These foods provide protein, iron, the B vitamins, and other nutrients that the children need.
We also need fruits and vegetables, and we should have about 3/4 of a cup for our Type A lunch. And this will provide us with our vitamin C and vitamin A, and also the other vitamins and minerals that we need. We should have about 1 serving of vitamin C every day, and vitamin A nutrients should be served at least twice a week.
Now, you said we ought to be getting some vitamin C every day. Why do we need to get vitamin C foods in the school lunch every day?
Well, mainly because vitamin C is not stored in our body.
Vitamin C is sometimes called ascorbic acid. This is its chemical name, and in your reading material you'll find it used interchangeably with vitamin C. In fact, we might use it today in our lesson. Vitamin C is measured by milligrams. It takes 1,000 milligrams to equal 1 gram, and it takes about 28 grams to equal 1 ounce. So you see this is a very small portion. Vitamin A is measured by international units. This is the standard measurement for vitamin A the world over. To give you how small amount this is, 1 ounce of vitamin A is sufficient to meet the needs of a person for almost 30 years. Now, you have mentioned the fact that we should be, the amounts of foods that should be in the school lunch each day. Now, we know that these needs are based on the needs of boys and girls from 10 to 12 years of age. And we also know that the needs vary for our children who are older and younger. I think this chart will help us to see how the needs vary for the various groups. For example, as we look at the amount of calories needed, we see that this represents the amount needed for a 7 to 9-year-old boy or girl. This amount is needed for a 10 to 12-year-old boy or girl. and we need an increased amount for the 16-year-old boy. As we look at the other foods, the protein, we can see that we need an increased amount for the 10 to 12 and also the 16-year-old boy. All the way across with all of the nutrients, we find that we need an increased amount of all of them for boys and girls that are older. This means that we should increase the size of our portions or else make it possible for children to come back for seconds in our school lunchroom. Now, one of our concerns today is fruits and vegetables in the school lunch, the importance of these in the diets of boys and girls. We know that fruits and vegetables supply practically all of the vitamin C needed by the body. They're also important sources of many other nutrients. They're an excellent source of vitamin A, but I guess we do not need to be as concerned about vitamin A as vitamin C, because vitamin A is more widely distributed in other foods, and if we get enough of the vitamin C-rich foods, we usually get enough of the vitamin A, because many of the fruits and vegetables which are rich in vitamin C are also rich in vitamin A. Fruits and vegetables are necessary for growth and development, and they also aid in the prevention of infection. In diet surveys that have been made, we find that this is the food group that is most often eaten in inadequate amounts of any of the food groups. It is hard for us to understand why this is so when, with our modern methods of food preservation and transportation and distribution, it is really easy for us to get an adequate amounts of fruits and vegetables in the diet all seasons of the year if we plan wisely. Now, you have already said that we should be getting at least 3/4 cup of fruits and vegetables in the lunch each day. How can we go about getting this amount in our school lunches?
We may use fruit juice or vegetable juice for 1/4, full strength for 1/4 of our required amount. We need 2 or more other vegetables or a fruit and vegetable combination. These foods can be raw, frozen, or canned, and it is more economical to buy foods in season. We want to remember, too, that we must have a vitamin C-rich food daily and a vitamin A-rich food twice a week.
Well, you have called our attention to the fact that we should be careful about the choices of our fruits and vegetables, because we may meet the components of the school lunch and at the same time not meet the nutritive needs of boys and girls. Now, we have 2 lunches here, and I'd like for us to take a look at these 2 lunches. We will notice that they contain practically the same foods, with the exception of the fruits and the vegetables. One tray contains broccoli and a baked potato. The other contains mashed potatoes and string beans. On each you see a green vegetable, and on each you see a potato. So you might assume that these are equal as far as the nutrients are concerned. But let's look at this chart and see if they actually are. Notice the ascorbic acid. We will see that your broccoli and baked potato contain 48 milligrams of ascorbic acid or vitamin C. Your string beans and mashed potatoes contain 12 milligrams. Notice the difference in the amount of vitamin C that's contained in the baked potato as is contained in the mashed potato. We have 20 milligrams as compared to 8. Now, we know that vitamin C is the least stable of all of our vitamins. It is soluble in water, and it's affected by heat and many other things. So the way in which we prepare food makes some difference in the amount of vitamin C, that is, for some foods. Let's look at the amount of calcium. We'll notice that the broccoli and baked potato contains 58 milligrams of calcium as compared to 33 milligrams of calcium in the string beans and mashed potatoes. You might say, well, I see some calcium in the mashed potatoes, but very little in the baked potato. This is due to the fact that milk has been added to the mashed potatoes, and we know that milk is an excellent source of calcium. Also, look at your vitamin A. You'll find that there is not any calcium in your vitamin A in the baked potato, but you have 25 international units in the mashed potato. I would like for you to look, though, at the difference in the amount of vitamin A in the broccoli as compared with the string beans. Broccoli contains 1,275 international units of vitamin A, whereas string beans contain only 208 international units of vitamin A. So you see there is a great difference in the amount of vitamin A in these two foods. As we look at the entire chart all the way across, we see that of all the nutrients, the broccoli and baked potato is a better source than our other nutrients and than our other combination. See that they contain more of all the nutrients than the other combination. So I think this very vividly calls to our attention the importance of our choices of vegetables and fruits in the diets. Now, our major concern today is vitamin C in the diets of boys and girls, discovering the importance of vitamin C and ways to include this in the diet. We have listed, I believe, 3 concerns that we want to give attention to, or 3 questions that we want to get answered. First of all, what is the importance of vitamin C in the diet of boys and girls? How much vitamin C is needed? And how can we include the recommended amounts in the diets of boys and girls through our choices of vegetables? Fruits and vegetables. Let's begin by looking at the importance of vitamin C in the diet. Now, here we have a healthy boy. Let's see why this boy needs vitamin C. We'll know, first of all, that vitamin C helps to build healthy muscles and connective tissue. The body is made up of tiny cells, and these cells are held together with a cement-like substance which is called connective tissue. Vitamin C aids in maintaining and building this connective tissue, which tends to hold the cells apart. The blood vessels depend on vitamin C for strength and elasticity. It is also necessary for building healthy gums that fit firmly around the teeth, and it aids in preventing fatigue, which aids in keeping the cells from literally falling apart and disintegrating. Another thing reason we need vitamin C is to aid in building strong bones, strong and well-developed bones. We have mentioned the connective tissue. This is an aid in supporting the bones, and it contains a cement-like substance, or is made from that, which tends to hold the bones together and keep them from falling apart so that they grow and develop strong. It also aids in holding the teeth in place so that they grow properly, and it actually helps to build strong teeth and bones. Another reason that we need vitamin C is to build resistance to infections. Now, perhaps this is the reason why nutritionists are so concerned that we get some vitamin C-rich foods in the diet every day, because it in some way tends to help the body in fighting off infections. It helps to prevent the blood vessels from erupting, causing hemorrhages into the tissues. And it aids in the healing of wounds. Another reason we need vitamin C is to help prevent fatigue. Perhaps spring fever is due to a lack or a deficiency of vitamin C over the long winter months when we do not get enough fruits and vegetables in our diet. Now, we have talked about some reasons why we need vitamin C in the diet and what it is used for. Let's look at some of the things that might happen if we have a deficiency of vitamin C or get very little in the diet. First, let's see what happens if we have an acute deficiency. We might find that there is a reddening and bleeding of the gums. The gums tend to become swollen, they're porous and inflamed and get red and bleed easily. We have a soreness and stiffness of joints. A child who is suffering from a severe deficiency of vitamin C tends to want to just lie on its back and not even move its arms and legs because this causes so much pain. Another thing that might happen would be the bleeding or erupting of the blood vessels, causing pools of stagnant blood to form into the tissues. This is found sometimes when we have tight garments that fit closely around the body. We'll find the bloody or bruised-looking spots. Also, they may appear all over the body. It is also needed for for preventing fatigue. This is a sign of the deficiency is fatigue. And loss of weight, marked loss of weight, is one sign of the deficiency. Muscular weakness. Now, perhaps you don't see these severe symptoms in the children in your school lunchrooms, because generally they do get some vitamin C, enough to prevent scurvy or to prevent these serious deficiencies. But more likely we are apt to find the mild deficiency. Now, a mild deficiency, we find the symptoms such as the infection. Children are more likely to have colds and be susceptible to infectious diseases if they do not get enough vitamin C. They are apt to be fatigued, or they might have sores that do not heal. These are some of the symptoms of a mild deficiency. We know that animals can be used to illustrate the effect of a deficiency of vitamin C in the diet. Guinea pigs need vitamin C just the same as man, and they show the same symptoms as man. Monkeys are another animal that need vitamin C. But other animals tend to be able to manufacture enough vitamin C in their own tissues for their needs. One of our school lunch managers has been conducting a guinea pig experiment to see about the effects of vitamin C, the lack of vitamin C in the diet, and she's brought the guinea pigs along with us today. I wonder if you'd tell us about what you have learned from this experiment.
I'd love to share it with you, Dr. Boyd. The boys and girls in our school were failing to eat their fruits and vegetables served at them at lunch. So, as a means of stressing the importance of these foods in the diet, we decided to let them see what would happen in a guinea pig when vitamin C was left out. We used posters to acquaint the children with this project, and then we also placed them in the hallway so that they could see them once a week as they came in to their lunch. We also got them to help us name them, and they have named them Whiny and Shiny. And one look, I believe you could tell which is which. As you see here, this is a bad-looking specimen, and you can probably hear him squealing.
This is because you're holding him and his muscles are sore. Is that right?
That is correct. And also you will notice that the glossy look or sheen on his fur is almost gone.
How about his gums? Are they getting red?
Yes, we noticed in about the 4th week that his gums were red and swollen.
Well, he does look like a pitiful-looking creature. Let's see Shiny and see how he
Shiny
looks.
is altogether different. See how he's awfully frisky today. He's much larger, and the sheen on his fur is still bright.
Well, I think we can see from looking at these two animals what difference vitamin C does in the diet, or how it affects the animals, and we know that it has the same effect on humans, although it takes much longer. Now, one question that you wanted to get answered today, I believe, was how much vitamin C is needed in the diet. The National Research Council recommends that we have, that boys and girls from 10 to 12 years of age need 75 milligrams of vitamin C daily. 1/3 of this amount, or 25 milligrams, should be supplied by the school lunch. Now, you have with you today your planning type A lunches, and I'd like for you to take a look at this, because on page 4 and 5 of this booklet, you will find listed some good and some fair sources of vitamin C. Now, those sources that are listed as good were chosen because they contain 20 or more milligrams of vitamin C for each 1/2 cup. Those listed as fair contain from 15 to 20 milligrams for each 1/2 cup. And we should serve at least some foods that are either a good source or a fair source of vitamin C in our lunches, as you've said, daily. Citrus fruits, raw cabbage, and tomatoes are so often known to be rich in vitamin C that we sometimes overlook other valuable sources. Now, today we have a display for you of some fruits and vegetables with the amount of vitamin C that is found in them indicated by these markers. This marker here represents the amount of vitamin C that should be included in the school lunch. This is 25 milligrams. Now, we have one orange here. This is one medium-sized orange, and you will notice that it contains this amount of vitamin C. This is more than twice the amount that is actually required or needed by the school lunch, so this is an excellent source. Another excellent source of vitamin C is strawberries. 1/2 cup of strawberries will give us 44 milligrams of this amount of vitamin C. So even though strawberries are expensive, when we serve only 1/4 of a cup, this certainly cuts down on the cost and makes it possible for us to include them in our school lunches. Pineapple is often served in the lunches, and sometimes maybe we mistake this for a vitamin C rich food. It does contain some, but you can see that it contains, one slice contains about half the amount that's needed in the school lunch. Oh, look at the baked apple. This is one large baked apple, and it contains only 2 milligrams of vitamin C. This falls very short of the amount needed to be counted as a vitamin C-rich food, doesn't it? Turnip greens are an excellent source of vitamin C. They contain 44 milligrams. That is, if they're cooked in a small amount of water for a short period of time. But some of us cook them in a lot of water for a long period of time, and that cuts down on the amount of vitamin C in the turnip greens. Here we have the yellow crookneck squash. 1/2 cup of squash gives you only about half the amount of vitamin C needed in the school lunch daily. But let's look at the baked potato. You can see that one medium-sized baked potato will give you 24 milligrams, or enough to be counted as one of the good sources of vitamin C, or fair sources of vitamin C. We've already said that tomatoes are frequently mentioned as an excellent source of vitamin C. But when you serve tomatoes in the lunchroom, how much do you usually serve?
We usually serve only one slice.
Well, let's look at this illustration here. Here we see that one tomato, one whole medium-sized tomato, and this would mean you'd get about 3 to the pound, contains 35 milligrams of vitamin C. So if you serve one slice, usually we make about 5 slices out of a tomato, don't we? So if you serve one slice, it would give you only this amount of vitamin C, which is about 7 milligrams. Sometimes we think that if vegetables look alike, they contain the same amount of vitamin C, such as your raw cabbage and lettuce. But can they be used interchangeably as far as the amount of vitamin C is concerned? Here we have 1/2 cup of shredded raw cabbage. This contains 25 milligrams of vitamin C. And you see that it would take this amount, or 6 cups of lettuce, to give you the same amount of vitamin C as is found in a 1/2 cup of cabbage. So you can see how much more you get. Now, this is not to say that you should never serve a tossed salad in your lunchroom. There are other things that you can add to your tossed salad to increase the amount of vitamin C. For example, you could add green peppers to it. One green pepper contains 7 to 9 milligrams of vitamin C. So if you added 1 pepper to 10 servings, you would increase the vitamin C by 8 milligrams approximately.
But the children in our school do not like green peppers.
Well, now this is an opportunity for us to enlist the cooperation of teachers in getting or helping children to develop a liking for foods. We may even go as school lunch managers to the classrooms, if the teachers would like for us to talk about the importance of these nutritious foods and take along some samples so that the children might have an opportunity to taste the food and to learn why it is important for them. Now let's go back to our original plan and see what we set out to do in the beginning. Today we plan to review the type A meal pattern. We wanted to learn why fruits and vegetables were important in the diets of boys and girls. And we wanted to discover the importance of vitamin C and ways to include the recommended amounts in the school lunch of boys and girls. Let's see now, what have we actually learned from our lesson?
We've learned from our school lunch menu planning guide what is meant by good and fast sources of vitamin C.
We've learned that fruits and vegetables, which are rich in vitamins A and C, are often short in the school lunch. And we've learned that vitamin C helps boys and girls build strong bones and healthy gums and build up resistance to infection and prevents fatigue.
We learned, too, that an animal experiment can dramatically illustrate the effects of food in our body.
So this was very vividly pointed out to us by the appearance of these two guinea pigs today, wasn't it? Do you think this is something that you might carry on in your lunchroom to help the boys and girls?
When I go back.
Well, good. What else have we learned from our lesson today?
Well, we have learned that for growth and development, a high school child needs more food than one just from 10 to 12 years old.
We've learned, too, some reasons why larger portions of all food should be served to boys and girls as they grow older, and why an extra serving of bread alone is not sufficient. And we've also learned that a baked potato is more nutritious than cream potatoes, and that broccoli surpasses green beans in food value, especially vitamins A and C.
We've also seen that lettuce doesn't have as much vitamin C in it as cabbage does, and we can't hope to fulfill a child's needed requirement for vitamin C with just one sliced tomato.
We have learned today that it is very valuable to meet together as school lunch managers and discuss our problems and work them out together.
Well, I'm glad you feel that it's been helpful to come together and to talk about some of your problems today. For your convenience and help, I have prepared some material that you might want to take home with you. This includes the high points of our discussion today, so that if you want to review it at home, you will have this material with you.
This demonstration was produced at the Georgia Center for Continuing Education and was presented to you by Dr. Fannie Lee Boyd of the University of Georgia College of Education. It is part of the Department of Agriculture's continuing program of providing technical assistance for school lunch programs.